Hi, this is Robert Garcia, two-time trainer of the year, and you are listening to Ringside Boxing Show.
Live from Monterey on California's beautiful Central Coast, this is the Ringside Boxing Show. I'm Dennis Taylor, welcoming you to join me and my expert analysts, Travis Hartman, Rizwan Zahid, and John J. Responsi today and every week for the hottest, sweatiest show on the West Coast. And now, from Studio 1A, it's the Ringside Boxing Show.
Hey, welcome to the Ringside Boxing Show on the Grueling Truth Sports Network. I'm Dennis Taylor, and we've got an outstanding show for you to close out the year. Last week, we interviewed an all-time great who's going to be inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame in June, former welterweight champion Tony DeMarco, and today we've got another one for you. During the second half of today's show, John Responti and I will be talking to two-division world champion Buddy McGirt, who had 80 fights in a 15-year career and only lost 6 times. 2 of those were to Pernell Whitaker, another Hall of Famer and an all-time great. McGirt was trained by Al Certo, a legendary New Jersey character and fantastic trainer and manager who died the day after Christmas at the age of 90. So John and I are going to be talking to him about that, very timely. And, of course, he's former trainer of the year who worked with Arturo Gatti, Vernon Forrest, Antonio Tarver, Paulie Malignaggi, Laila Ali, many, many others. And he's currently training Sergey Kovalev for his February 2 rematch with Eleider Alvarez. This one's going to be pretty special, so stay with us for that. Paul McLaughlin, our British correspondent, is also going to give you some year-ender stuff from the UK, and he did a dynamite job on this. You're going to really enjoy it. It's been an amazing 2018 in the United Kingdom. And we're going to lead off with our expert analysts, who are also going to give us some year-ender thoughts from this side of the Atlantic. Travis Hartman is a professional boxer, trainer, and promoter from Osborne, Missouri. He's now living and training in Orlando, Florida. Rizwan Zahid is a boxing journalist from Toronto. And John J. Responti is chief lead writer for MaxBoxing.com and DogHouseBoxing.com. And John and I co-authored an Amazon bestseller called Intimate Warfare, The True Story of the Arturo Gatti and Mickey Ward Boxing Trilogy. Guys, this was really another terrific year in boxing, and it's time to do our year-ender stuff. I want to start with the round of the year, which is usually the toughest question of the bunch for my money. What was the most memorable 3 minutes of boxing that you watched in 2018, Travis? What was the round of the year for you?
Well, I had 2. The one that ended up winning it was Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder.
Yeah.
That 12th round where he came back from the dead. But it wasn't the only fact that he got up. He got up and probably damn near won the entire round, and it even hurt Deontay Wilder. And those are 2 of the highest level professional heavyweight boxers in the world doing this. So that's why they got number 1 for me. But a very, very close second was that Alex Saucedo versus Lenny Zapavida fight. And that, I think it was the 4th round. It was just blood and guts, and it was an amazing round. And the only reason they didn't get the number 1 was because, like I said, Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder was such a higher level of athletes and such a bigger stage, and just all of the stuff surrounding all of that. And plus, it was an amazing round because anybody that watches that, I mean, the memes were popping up everywhere after that fight when Deontay Wilder knocked down Tyson Fury, and we thought he was knocked out, but the guy just literally woke from the dead, it seemed like, and just got right back up. So that one definitely is my number 1 for round of the year. And there was, to be honest, Dennis and everybody on the show knows, I think boxing was phenomenal last year, and there were so many candidates for round of the year, but it was very difficult, but I did end up picking the Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder one.
Okay, all right. Riz, what caught your eye?
I got Travis, and it's not necessarily, I don't think that the Fury-Wilder round was necessarily the most entertaining, but it was the most dramatic because beginning of the round, everyone thought Fury had it in the bag. 5 seconds later, we thought, wow, Wilder won. And all of a sudden, there's a guy coming back from the dead. Like the best meme we're talking about, the best one I saw was playing the Undertaker theme music in the background with Paul Bearer. Because that's pretty much what it was. It's like, wow, he's rising. He should not be in this fight anymore. And again, not only is he getting up, but he arguably won the round, and most people's eyes won the fight. And it wasn't just any fight. It was also for the heavyweight championship of the world. So I think it's actually kind of hilarious because if you're looking at the last 2 years, Klitschko and Joshua, I think it was round 6 or round 5 even, people would argue was probably the round of the year last year.
Mm-hmm.
So it's funny how people always wrote off the heavyweight division for so long, and back-to-back years, arguably, we have the round of the year is coming from the heavyweight division, and different fighters too, which makes it, completely different. But yeah, I just thought it had the most amount of drama because, I mean, to me, when I look at round of the year, or even fight of the year, if it's, two guys who don't have a tremendous amount of power, neither is really at risk to get hurt, and that's why they're able to take the risk to give those shots. But that's what makes the guys with knockout power scary. Is when those are rounds of the year, then there's a higher risk with every single punch that's being thrown and received, and that's what made that round special. Because watching that round, when Fury went down, I'm still shocked that he got up because I'm not saying he got up, but he fought back and arguably should have won the fights, and that's what made the draw so disappointing for so many people, because it was just we actually saw an epic round. We had a knockdown, we had a guy hurt, we had everything on the line, we had a comeback, we had a guy sitting on, we had every possible story within 3 minutes, and it's hard to beat that amount of drama in a round, and that's why it's my round of the year.
And it was the 12th round, man, and Fury.
Yes, of course. How can we forget that?
Down, and you may surprise us and pick something else, but what that reminded me of was that scene in I think Rocky 1 where Rocky went down and he's getting up again, and Apollo Creed's looking over his shoulders thinking, what the hell? This guy from that. That's what it reminded me of. You wonder what Deontay Wilder was thinking at that moment when he had to have been thinking, this guy's out cold, it's over. Oh, my God, he's getting up.
Yeah, well, Dennis, you stole my thunder because that's what I was thinking.
Sorry.
Thanks a lot.
Great minds think alike.
Because the fight took place in L.A., it was only a rock throw away from the Main Street Gym where they filmed some of the Rocky scenes in Rocky, and they came back there in Rocky 3 and did some of the training scenes, if you guys remember, when Apollo was training Rocky. So, yeah, and so it was perfect as far as that goes. That happened in the 14th round, but I almost expected to see Freddie Roach, he was there going, no, stay down, like Mickey did, when he started getting up. But it was, I completely agree. I thought for drama, for story, for gut, for determination, pretty much everything that epitomizes why I think we all love boxing, determination. I mean, when he went down, like everybody's saying, it was over. I said to Dub, that's it, it's done. And, I've seen a lot of these fights like this all my life, so I didn't think there was a chance in hell he was going to get up, and then he started stirring at around 5, I think, and I was like, holy Toledo, is he actually going to get up? And then, as Travis said, again, like a movie, and again, like Rocky, where if you remember when in Rocky, he gets up, he motions to Apollo, come on, and then he hits Apollo with those body shots and hurts him, but kind of like that, Deontay goes for the knockout, and Fury turns the tables on him and hurts him in the last 40 seconds of the round. So it was just, it has to win the round of the year. Maybe it wasn't the most exciting round as far as activity going on, because I really liked Gassiev and Dorquitos, or I think that's how you pronounce it. Yeah, in round 12. That was, again, happening in round 12, and Gassiev had hit him with a kitchen sink, and he finally put him down and out. But that has to be the round of the year, just for that word again, drama, and then shock. So drama, shock at him getting up and then turning the tables on Deontay Wilder. It's undoubtedly the round of the year.
Hollywood script. That's what that was.
Yep.
Right there. You could not make that up. Well, you could if you were Sylvester Stallone, but that's
right.
The only guy who could have made it up. And this was real life, though. And you know what? If here's the other thing about that. If Fury does not get up from that, maybe that's the knockout of the year too. But there were some epic knockouts this year, guys. And Riz, I'll let you lead off with this one. Dillian White actually had two of them, one against Lucas Brown and the other just a few days ago against Derek Chisora. Naoya Inoue destroyed Juan Carlos Payano in the first round of their fight in October. Teofimo Lopez, who's just 21 years old, annihilated Mason Menard in one round earlier this month, and he also annihilated Vitor Jones in one round back in May. And in between, he TKO'd this guy William Silva in 6. Jamal Charlo, second round TKO of Hugo Centinel was pretty special. And so was Usyk's 8th round KO of Tony Bellew. So I'm sure I'm leaving a few out, Riz, but let's start with you on this one. Which one do you pick? What did you find?
Definitely the Inoue Payano knockout was significant for me, just because it was perfect technically. He countered the jab. There was kind of 20 seconds where they were just kind of pawing at each other and just waiting for one to kind of make the first move, and he did, but he did it with such perfection that it ended the fight. But one you're leaving off, and I think a lot of people are leaving off, is David Lemieux and O'Sullivan. Lemieux is, as flawed as he is as a fighter, his power is honestly some of the most freakish power I can remember in the middleweight division, like ever. It's up there, because the amount of he's had so many of these kind of knockouts in his career, and what makes these two specific knockouts stand out to me is that both Payano and O'Sullivan have been around for a while and have always been fairly sturdy, and both of them are getting knocked out though in the first round, and that says something to me. It's one of those things. Usyk had a great knockout against Bellew, but that was in the 8th round. Guys get tired and all that, and obviously that factors in. But these are all fresh, and when David Lemieux landed that shot, there was absolutely no doubt it was over. Like, it was a no doubter. There's the one that you had a Payano went down hard, and we thought it was a knockout, but the way O'Sullivan went down, it was timber. Like, he was falling over, and that was it. And Lemieux just had this look on his face, excuse me. He had this look on his face saying, "This is why I don't know why you were talking so much trash leading up to this," because he's just on the ground now, and he's just seeing stars. And Lemieux, as fundamentally flawed as he is, I thought last year his Curtis Stevens knockouts was probably the highlight of the year, the knockout of the year. You got to go with David Lemieux again. He's just he might not do a lot of things really well, but he does knockouts fairly well.
John, lots to choose from here. Which decapitation or liver shot was your favorite?
Well, I don't agree with Riz on Lemieux being the knockout of the year, but I agree with Lemieux being frightening. He's the kind of guy that when he hits somebody and they go down, you're afraid they're not going to get up permanently.
Yeah, they stay
he's got that kind of he's got that kind of power that he produces scary knockouts. I'm going a different way though. Inoue's knockout was impressive, but I like what Riz was saying. I like the knockout, the one-punch knockout where the guy just falls down on his face, and that's the kid, the Heisman Trophy poser, the home run trot kid, the backflip, Teofimo Lopez. His knockout of Mason Menard a few weeks ago. See, the thing to me was when a knockout is really dramatic, you're watching it, and even though we're supposedly cynical old boxing writers and historians or whatever we are, you go, oh, because it's so shocking. Dillian White did that to Chisora a few weeks ago, where you're just watching it, and it's a heck of a brawl, and boom, that left hook comes out of nowhere, and down goes Chisora, and he's out. So to me, that one was Lopez's knockout. These were all impressive. Charlo did it to Centeno also, but Lopez is just so cocky and everything, and he comes out and he's so powerful. He's got to move up, and he's got to fight some tougher guys, but one right hand, overhand right on the chin, and he just, Mason Menard just falls right on his face, and I've heard all my life, and Travis can back this up, and when a fighter falls on his face, he's not getting up.
Exactly.
And the poor guy, his legs kind of twitched a little bit, and that was it. But this is one of these relative ones where everybody has one that they might like. But I just thought that was, and then his whole antics, which some people like, some people don't. But for me, that was just the knockout of the year.
Travis, doesn't it seem like there's kind of an unusual number of one-punch knockout artists in boxing now? Between this Teofimo Lopez who just came up and the monster over in Japan and Deontay and, there's just a lot of them now.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right, and I think that's why we're seeing the growth of boxing is because, for the most part, the average fan, they love to see knockouts. And that's why I think the sport is growing as much as it is, because Riz made a great point about the heavyweight division. There's been some round of the years in the heavyweight division the past couple of years, and a lot of the old-time boxing fans say boxing goes when the heavyweight division goes. So when the heavyweight division is doing awesome, boxing is doing awesome. And you could easily say that right now, and that could ring true because boxing has been growing, and it's getting popular, and you're having, like, the DAZN, the online apps investing, $3 billion in boxing. So that just goes to show you that the fans are loving it, and they're probably loving it because you're right, Dennis, there's been so many one-punch brutal knockouts this year that I'd like to see that stat of the TV fights and how many knockouts there's been this year because it's been a lot. And with that being said, my knockout of the year, I had two that were on my top of my list. and the close second was a Teofimo Lopez over Mason Menard because when you fall head first and you don't even catch yourself, you are out cold before you even hit the ground. And that's kind of scary in itself is when you see a guy falling and he's not even bracing himself with his hands and he literally just does a head dive and goes straight to the canvas. It's a little scary and brutal, and at the same time, it's kind of one of those beautiful, perfect knockouts. But I didn't give him the number one because Mason Menard, in all fairness, he has been knocked out before. He's never been knocked out like that, but he has been knocked out before. So that was special. I'm giving knockout of the year to Dillian White over Lucas Brown because Lucas Brown was the same way. You don't see too many. For me, knockout of the year, the only reason I didn't give it to Inoue over Payano was because Payano, he wasn't out cold, and he actually was trying and struggling to get up. He was obviously hurt, but the Lucas Brown was just, I think if you'd have counted to 100, he still might not have gotten up. So I have to give it to Dillian White over Lucas Brown, and then Dillian White just goes and has another KO of the year candidate in his last fight a week ago. So I give it to Dillian White, and here we are again talking about the heavyweight division. I remember when we first started doing this radio show with you, Dennis, about 9 years ago. The heavyweight division was a laughing stock. Like I remember making fun of the heavyweight division, and I don't very often make fun of any professional boxers, but we kind of made fun of the heavyweight division because it was a lack of talent, lack of even any good fights, and now here we are. And for me, knockout of the year was in the heavyweight division, round of the year was in the heavyweight division. So God bless boxing right now, and God bless the heavyweight division because the heavyweight division is definitely back, and it's exciting as ever. And to be fair, all the other weight classes are still exciting as well. But it's just good. It's a breath of fresh air to see how exciting the heavyweight division is again.
Okay, so John, you lead off on this one because you've got an article on Max Boxing today that announces your 2018 Prospect of the Year, and you chose Teofimo Lopez. Tell us why.
Well, a lot of it was because of that knockout, but also because he's bringing an additional excitement to the division, and he has the unmitigated gall to be already calling out Lomachenko, which I find humorous, but I also find interesting because he's a young gun, and Lomachenko's getting a little older, and eventually at some point he's going to lose a little bit. Now, if they're smart, this is just tactical. It's maybe not what some people might want, but they'll wait a little bit, maybe let Lomachenko get a little longer in the tooth before they fight him. But he's a guy like that has these antics, like I said, the backflip, the Heisman pose, the home run trot, which I thought was hilarious that he did against Silva when he won that one by stoppage. That's always good because that attracts the young people. And that's what makes boxing survive is, it's like a generational thing. It gets passed on from generation to generation, and that's the only way that it grows is by the younger people getting interested. The guy is 21 years old. He's exciting as hell. He's looking for a knockout in all his fights. Again, I don't know how good he is because it's all about styles, and you move up in levels, and that's when you find out some guys are exposed. You start fighting the really good fighters. They know they can see your flaws and start picking at them. But I have a feeling that whatever happens to him in the future, he's going to be in exciting fights, and that also is extremely helpful in boxing. And it's always fun to watch a guy like this to see what happens. So what he did, he was 4-0 with 3 knockouts in 2018, 2 show-stopping knockouts. And I started it with, he arguably stole the article. I started with he arguably stole the show away from Lomachenko when he scored that 44-second knockout. So for me, he's the prospect. And there's a lot of good kids out there. Haney is good. Jaron Enos is good. I'm going off the top of my head. There's a lot of good kids out there, but I just think Lopez is got something about him. There's he's got that star quality about him that, for me at least, he's the prospect of the year.
Yeah, and not only does a guy like that entertain people who want to come see him, but he packs the house with people who want to see him get his ass kicked too.
Yes, exactly.
How many tickets did Macho Camacho sell just by being a jackass in there and just a fun jackass to watch? And Broner, Broner's still hanging around. He's fighting Manny Pacquiao just because a lot of people buy tickets to see him get his butt kicked, Travis.
Muhammad Ali did that for years too.
Ali.
And you could easily say that about Floyd Mayweather as well. Most people wanted to see him get beat, and probably more often than not, they wanted to see him get beat.
Yeah, they weren't watching him to be entertained.
Yep.
They want to see him lose.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, Travis, you go second. Who's your prospect of the year?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I actually agree with John on that one, and I was kind of confused a little bit on the prospect of the year because I was like, Jaime Mangaya, I don't even know how to pronounce his name, but he came from out of nowhere essentially, and I don't know, he kind of skipped prospect to just legitimate contender, but the way he came, you could easily say that he for sure was a prospect, but he kind of did. He just leapfrogged prospect and went straight to, hey, I'm the man, and I'm out here, and I'm ready for everybody. So he was up there, and I don't know how you would, criteria or classify that, but he was in my mix. But I for sure think Teofimo Lopez is pretty amazing, and that one-punch knockout of Mason Menard, I mean, it does have to put him up there. Like I said, it wasn't the fact that he knocked out Menard. It was the fact of how he did it. Because, I mean, that's why we were so impressed with Triple G when Triple G was coming up. It was not because he was knocking these guys out and stopping these guys. It was like how brutal he was doing it, and it was like how he was doing it. And that's what separates the good fighters from the great fighters, is not just winning, it's how they're winning. It's how they're putting that stamp on their wins. And Teofimo Lopez is definitely impressive, and it's, God bless him for calling out the best out there, which is Lomachenko, but that's a little more different than Mason Menard, and that's the honest truth about it, and we all know that. But you know what? Go for it, man, because, anything can truly happen in boxing. I mean, literally anything can happen in boxing. And a guy like Lomachenko he's no different. Things can legit happen. It could be just that one weird, crazy shot or just some weird, crazy thing happens, and you never, ever truly know. So that's why I really love it when guys like prospects like Teofimo Lopez is challenging guys like that, because go for it. Why not? There's no limits in boxing. The only limits you put on yourself. And if you want to fight the best, then fight the best, because I know that guys like us, the analysts and the guys who look over boxing and talk about it, that's what we want to see. We want to see the best fighting the best. So, good for Lopez. And again, I think he's my prospect of the year. And the only reason he gets it over a guy like Jaime Mangaya is just because I think Jaime just skipped prospect and went straight to, hey, I'm a ass kicker. I'm already there.
Yeah, there ought to be a new category for guys like him.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, Riz, most exciting up-and-comer for you in the sport, who is it?
You know what? It's hard because what you're saying about Munguia, I think you can make the same argument about Teofimo Lopez. I don't know if is he still considered a prospect, or has he crossed into the contender range now? Because I mean, he's calling out Lomachenko. That's not really prospect range, I don't think, anymore. There are a lot of up-and-comers, and it's funny how, because a guy like Devin Haney, who has almost twice as many fights as Lopez, I think he's considered more of a prospect at this point than Teofimo is. So there's definitely a lot of up and coming guys. I mean, I think it's Teofimo Lopez. I think you're right about Jaime Munguia. He completely skipped. He went from kind of a fringe contender, a fringe prospect, to now maybe is a guy at 154 pounds. It's kind of quick how that happened, right? But I think right now, Teofimo Lopez, I think, is probably the safe bet. But it's funny because, one fight from now, if he fights Lomachenko, maybe he went from prospect to contender to bust, or maybe he has a good fight and then he kind of changes. I'm going to go really a little off the rails, though, and I'm going to put a guy who a lot of people probably haven't seen fight, but a guy who might have the goods, and that's Muradjan, I'm going to pronounce his name right, Akhmadaliev. A guy from Uzbekistan is fighting out of Indo, California now. He's had a good start of his career, he's 24, strong amateur background. Still very early in his career, though, so I don't think I think he might still be a prospect of the year next year, actually. But I think it's funny how the prospect that we're all discussing are all in different range in their quote-unquote prospects. Some guys are just starting out their careers. Guys like Teofimo Lopez, I think he's advanced so much that he's having a Fernando Vargas kind of career so far, where it's just Fernando Vargas is never really a prospect. He just went from contender and youngest champ kind of right away. Juan Diaz kind of did the same thing, and I think that's where Teofimo Lopez is right now. But I mean, 1 month from now, we might not be saying he's a prospect, but I think today I'll argue he's a prospect. But next year, I don't think we're going to discuss him as a prospect. I think we're going to discuss him as a champ or a contender or maybe a top 10 guy. I don't know. That guy's career is going to be. I don't know how long it's going to last, but he'll definitely be something to watch while it happens.
Okay, Riz, let's stick with you. You lead off on this one. Fight of the year. What was your favorite?
Man, that's a good one. I don't think, to my recollection, I don't think as much as we had great fighters and stories, I don't recall a great fight necessarily, which is kind of weird. There was some definitely very good fights. I don't know. I think I'll go with Gassiev and Dortigos, just because I think kind of summed up how brutal the Super 6 Cruiserweight tournament was. Both guys just had so much tremendous power. I think, between them, they were just kind of knocking everyone out. And that fight was just an absolute war. Both of them landed some thunderous shots, and it was kind of high energy up until the 12th round, where Dortigos just kind of couldn't take it anymore. And it was a close fight at that point too. I think there's obviously some honorable mentions. Golovkin and Canelo, obviously, that will never be a boring fight. Jared Hurd and Erislandy Lara, shockingly, was actually a lot more entertaining than people thought. And Lara, just for once, and I don't know why, but he decided to be very aggressive that night. So Certo and Lenny Z was more. I think that was more to the throwback ESPN Friday night fights that we used to see with Emmanuel Burton and Mickey Ward. Those kind of fights. But I like to factor in quality, and you got to think that 2 undefeated cruiserweights with Gassiev and Dortigos is probably the best over there, just because both guys just had so much to lose and so much to win, and putting all on the line, both of them going for knockouts, kind of right from the beginning till the bitter end. It was just 12 rounds of brutality, and then to finish with a knockout. And that anytime a fight finishes with a knockout, I think it gives me a little extra oomph. So I think that's what takes it for me.
John, what was your favorite fight of the year?
Well, this was tough. I mean, Riz, God, I think I'm still debating it every few minutes. The Gassiev fight, the Jared Hurd, Lara fight was tremendous. Rungasai's fight with Estrada, I saw that one was good. But, I went with Golovkin. I'm leaning with Golovkin and Canelo, mostly because, I'll tell you, it's not that I'm not sure I'm convinced it's the best fight of the year, even though this category is fight of the year. But it had so much writing on it. And especially for a guy like Canelo, who would, due to his own whatever, idiocy or irresponsibility or whatever word you want to use, had messed up his reputation with what we know that however that happened, and I'm not going to go back into that, but he had a ton to prove in that fight. And he was being called out by Abel Sanchez and Golovkin, and Abel kept saying, look, why don't you fight like a real Mexican? Canelo's like, I like to move around, I like to box more. And it's like, no, I want you to fight like a real Mexican. And you know what? He did it. Yep. And he did something that never had happened to Golovkin. He made him back up. He turned Golovkin into the boxer. So as far as a dramatic storyline and me being a a writer, I think probably that's why I love that, is that it flipped the script on what we expected. We all pretty much thought that Golovkin would box and punch and get tired in times and lay on the ropes and do like he did in the first fight, but he did not. He found some energy and dug down deep. Now, the decision is another story. That will be debated till the end of time. But as far as drama, as far as people that I know that aren't big fight fans who happen to be watching that with a big fight fan going, gosh, if all the fights were like this, I would watch boxing all the time. That's pretty revealing to me. And then the fact that you've got two elite fighters, okay, Golovkin's in the back part of his career a little bit, but still, he still could just about beat everybody, laying it on the line, going back and forth. For me, it has to be fight of the year, even though, as I said, the Gassiev fight was a hell of a fight. But as far as the event, the drama, the how the fight changed at times, Canelo did well, then Golovkin came on, then Canelo was winning, and then Golovkin dug down deep in the last few rounds. I mean, it was a hell of a fight. And with all the controversy rolling around it, with everything, all the talk, a lot of people going, I don't even care, I don't want to see it, the rematch. It turned out to be just a fantastic fight.
I can't believe people are saying that. And, before we go to Travis and get his Fighter of the Year, Riz, you don't want to see Canelo Golovkin 3? Man, I do.
I just think, I don't know. It's just a very predictable result, I think, at this point. We knew that's why they were waiting for Golovkin to get older anyways. That's why the rematch, the whole drug testing delay actually only benefited Canelo. And I think it's not going to be Golovkin obviously in May, so Golovkin just going to be another year older then, right? So it's just a very predictable kind of result, and where even though this fight was actually closer than the first one to me, even though to me Golovkin still won, it was a little closer because the older fighter is obviously a little older, and let's face it, Canelo's actually just entering his prime. He just turned 28, I think, so it's just going to be harder and harder for a guy like Golovkin. So no, I think there's other fights out there. I mean, especially if Canelo's actually flirting with 168. We talked about, I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, De La Hoya's quote, surprise for May. I doubt it's Caleb Smith. I think we all doubt that, but if it is a prime opponent, that'll be interesting. But we don't. He has the Rocky Fieldings, and he's had the Amir Khan, who did not belong in the division. He has Chavez Jr. You know what I mean? So outside of Golovkin, that's pretty much been his last 5 opponents, give or take. So some consistency, I think, would be better. So I'd rather just see, and that's the thing. We always said that about De La Hoya. As much as we hate him as a promoter, as a fighter, he fought everyone. And that was the difference, because even though he had his fundamental flaws, he wasn't really, even though a lot of his losses, he was never really outclassed outside the Hopkins fight. Most of his fights were close, and he came up short. But the difference was, you could see that, talent-wise, he was there with everyone all the time. And now we've heard the stories about his partying and all that. But so perhaps he could have beat all those guys as well. So, but it seemed like he was never really afraid to lose. And I'm not saying Canelo's afraid to lose, but I mean, it seems like at 28, you shouldn't be picking and choosing that wisely for, if that means you're going to have, maybe one meaningful fight a year. It's just, I don't know. I don't want to see him against Rocky Fielding again. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
Because that was, Rocky Fielding, good for you, good, good effort. But, I mean, yeah, you didn't belong in the ring with the guy, right? That was, that was, we did, it's, again, for the turnaround, fighting on 3 months, quick turnaround, that's fine. I understand that. I give you props for, coming back to make a second fight for the year, but we don't need to see that ever again.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Travis, Fight of the Year.
Yep, I'm going to 100% agree with John. I think it has to be those two, because I think it's arguably they both were the top 5 pound-for-pound fighters in the world. And before, we had the number 1 and number 2 pound-for-pound fighters in the world, and when they fought, and I'm talking about Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao, when they fought, that fight did not deliver for the average fan. That fight was not exciting. That fight was very one-sided, and Mayweather easily won. But this time, when we had two top 5 pound for pound, not just in their weight class, but pound for pound guys fighting each other, that fight more than delivered, which tells me that we got that ranking right. The Ring magazine and this pound for pound ranking, I think it was right. And that means that these both guys were that good, that legit, and they went out there and they proved it. And 100%, John is so on point with it again. The first time that I'd ever seen Triple G take more than one step backwards was against Canelo in the second fight. And that, to me, I was just like, oh, my goodness, like, Triple G's clearly the bigger guy. I mean, Canelo used to fight at 147 even and moved all the way up to 54 and then all the way down to 60. So when you watch that fight, though, you could not tell that Triple G was the bigger man. And that impressed me that Canelo went and did what he did. And, again, we can give Canelo a lot of grief for a lot of stuff, but if you look at Canelo's resume, and he's only 28 years old, he's fought some of the best out there, the best in the world. I mean, we're talking, look at his resume. He legitimately has fought, I mean, how many Hall of Famers? And the only one loss on his record, which some people could say he lost to Triple G the first time, but the only one loss on his record is against easily the greatest of his era, which is Floyd Mayweather. So, to me, I 100% think that the Triple G versus Canelo has to be the fight of the year because of how good they both were and how it actually did deliver. And one could easily argue that Triple G won that fight as well. I thought Canelo won the fight for sure, but it was one of those fights where it was 1 or 2 rounds away from the other guy winning it, and that's what you want to see when the best fight the best, is you want to see that Hagler-Hearns type of stuff, that the guys just go at it. And this wasn't Hagler-Hearns, I get that, but it was just a different level of great. And for me, Triple G and Canelo definitely was fight of the year because of the how great they both are and how it actually did deliver. And it wasn't a snooze fest, and it wasn't one guy dominating the other guy. So I was impressed with that, and that's why I give it fight of the year.
John, here's a reason that I really want to see them fight one more time, and that's that Abel Sanchez did not want Golovkin to box. Golovkin did that on his own. He wanted him to go in there and make it a street fight. And I think if they fight again, what happens if Golovkin and Canelo both make it a street fight? Man, then you got Thrilla and Manila.
You know, I don't know, Dennis. Golovkin's older and he's a little slower, and Canelo's in his prime, and Golovkin's the guy in there, not Abel Sanchez. He's the guy taking the shots from Canelo. And if you remember, we were all wondering in the first fight why Golovkin didn't go to the body more. Well, we know why he didn't go to the body more, because he was concerned about being countered, and he felt Canelo's power. So to get into that kind of a street fight means that he's going to have to eat some more of those shots, and I think more than anybody, and this is a good question for Travis, but I think this is true, more than anybody, I think Golovkin realizes what his limitations are at this point in his career, and this guy is somebody that he really respects as a fighter, and he respects his power, and he's not stupid. He's not just going to walk in there and with his chin up in the air and say, come on, hit me. He's going to fall back on what he knows because of his technique and his jabbing and all that, but that's not what Abel wants. But I don't know, even if Abel tells him, get in there and mix it up like that, if he'll do it for a round or two maybe, but not the whole fight. I don't know. That's kind of an interesting comment. But, again, what Riz said is very true, that Golovkin will be older, and I think I said a couple of months ago that I wasn't sure I wanted to see him go at it again, just because of that reason, because I think it's too bad for Golovkin. I don't want to see him do it partly because of that, because I think he'll lose for sure, and it might tarnish his legacy. Some already think it has tarnished it. And I don't want to see that. I would like Golovkin's got plenty of challenges out there. I really don't think they need to fight again unless they want to make all that money, and I don't certainly blame them for that. But I think Canelo will have an easier time of it this time, Dennis, because he can do more. He can do more than Golovkin if he wants to box a little, if he wants to punch a little. So I don't think it would be the Thriller and the Manila. I think it would be a good fight. I think those guys would fight until they're 80 years old, and it would be a good fight. But I just don't see it being a great fight. But it would be good. They both are so competitive. They both have so much pride, and they both are willing to put it on the line that it would be a good fight, but I don't think it would reach the levels of the second fight. I really don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Last category, Fighter of the Year, is a tough one for 2018 in my book. Canelo won the rematch with Golovkin in September. Then he moved up in weight and took out Rocky Fielding a couple weeks ago. Most people think Tyson Fury deserved the decision over Deontay on December 1st, and he certainly deserves extra points in my book for his career comeback and for rising from the dead like a zombie in the 12th round against Wilder. And that was a split draw. And he also beat this guy Sefer Seferi and Francesco Pianetta in 2018. Lomachenko beat Jose Pedraza, who's no Humpty, and he stopped Jorge Linares, who's an outstanding fighter. Inoue knocked out Jamie McDonald and Juan Carlos Payano in the first round, both guys. And Alexander Usyk outpointed Marius Briedis and Murat Gassiev, and then TKO'd Tony Bellew. So there's some great candidates right there, and you guys might have some other ones in mind. Riz, you lead off on this one. Who deserves Fighter of the Year?
To me, actually, this is a no-brainer. I got to go with Usyk, hands down.
Okay.
Usyk, what's amazing about Usyk, not only did he cleared out his division so much that he's going up to heavyweight now, so that's number one. Number two, he did all those fights on the road. His last, 5 or 6 fights have been on the road. Even though he's the guy who's the favorite, even though he's the guy who's considered number one, all those things, he's the one who goes on the road. And, with all the issues of judging and all this other nonsense in boxing, you'll never see anyone who will even argue that Gassiev won a round against Usyk. And then, you know what, let's throw another whole different factor there. He's Ukrainian, and he went to a Russian man's backyard. I can't imagine the whole political fiasco and all that stuff that probably came with that. That's just, there's just so much at play there that I can't even put into words. Usyk's special. He is a special fighter to watch. Everything he does is great. And honestly, even though against Briedis, he didn't think it was a close fight and he won it, he didn't think he fought well. And that's why he really stepped up his game for when he fought Gassiev. And against Gassiev, he just put on a clinic. Some people thought Gassiev would connect at some point, but that was an absolute, he took him to school. That was a Hopkins Pavlik-like performance. He was just so well schooled. And again, I with all the other guys, one, Tyson Fury had a draw, even though he arguably should have won. Canelo, I'm not even gonna, Rocky Fielding and a controversial decision to me doesn't equal Fight of the Year. Plus, he got tested positive for PEDs this year. Regardless of whether it was intentional or not, it's hard for me to give him an award for that. But I just think Usyk just separates himself from everyone this year. This year, if you're going to sum out the story of boxing this year, I think it's Usyk, because he took himself from being a good amateur that people knew to the best. And now he's signed with the Zone, and now there's going to be more eyes on him. Now there's, potentially in a year we might be talking about him as a heavyweight champ. So let's think about that for a second, because all this talk about Wilder and Joshua, there's a guy who just sitting there quietly watching it all unfold, and I think he's going to have a very good chance against all of those fighters just because he's clinically that brilliant. He's already cleaned out one division, and how crazy would it be if in a year we're talking about him as a heavyweight champ, meaning he cleared out 2 of the biggest divisions in 2 years. Just think about that.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's not going to happen.
You're already on record with this on MaxBoxing.com. You agree with Riz. It was Usyk. How come?
Yeah, I haven't posted the article yet, but I'm going to in a couple of days. Yeah, I think it's the same thing. Ditto what Riz said. It's a no-brainer. It's got to be Usyk. How many guys can you think of, just off the top of your head, went to another guy's backyard, another fighter's backyard, and beat him? To me, that was what impressed me the most. And to do it like he did it, so impressively. And if you're a boxing purist, you love the way this guy fights. And then the fact that he won't just outbox someone, he'll get in there and take chances. He'll fight. So, but for me, again, the fact that he travels anywhere anyone asks him to. If he ends up, I hope he comes to America. He's fought in America before, but he has no problem going anywhere to fight, and that is totally unique. As much as we all admired Andre Ward, there was a lot of controversies that he didn't go to other fighters' cities to fight him. He wanted it to be in Vegas. He wanted it to be in Oakland. And the fact that Usyk will say, I don't care. he'll fight Joshua in London. He'll fight anybody. I don't really know if he can beat Joshua just because of the size and the power. I don't think he's ever been hit by a guy like that, but that's a hell of a fight. But one thing, he'll fight him. There won't be any problem about where it is. He'll go there and fight him. So, again, for me, that's the reason that he's the fighter of the year, not only because he's so impressive in the ring, but the fact that he has the gut and the self-belief to go to another fighter's backyard against another crowd. He just smiles at him like he did when he beat Bellew. I mean, 80% of those people were pulling for Bellew, and he just grinned at him and win dramatically like he did in this last fight. And the Gassiev fight was a good fight, heck of a fight, and that was a brilliant performance by him in that one. So, yeah, he's hands down my fighter of the year, Dennis.
Travis, you going to make it unanimous?
I'm not, guys. I'm going to go with the typical cliche, and the only reason is because I called it the fight of the year. So, therefore, for me, the criteria is if somebody wins the fight of the year, and the reason why I picked it is because they both are so elite, is I'm giving it to Canelo. I know it's cliche because, Canelo's super popular, and he probably gets the benefit of a lot of decisions and all of that, but I was just super impressed with him this year, and the fact that he did want to rematch Triple G, and the fact that he did test positive for steroids. But then, to me, I think he went above and beyond to prove that he was clean, and all the way up until they finally actually did cancel the fight, he was still taking tests, to prove that he didn't, it was accidental. So for me, I think it's Canelo. I mean, I don't think that you can disagree with John Ortiz. I mean, Usyk is definitely a beast. And I'm looking forward to him fighting in the heavyweight division against a real heavyweight, because I don't think Bellew was technically a real heavyweight in my opinion. But nonetheless, they were phenomenal wins. But I think a win over Triple G, in my opinion, is better than a win over Bellew and Gassiev. And to me, the future is bright for Usyk in the heavyweight division, but I don't see him beating Deontay Wilder. I don't see him beating Tyson Fury, and I don't see him beating Anthony Joshua. Do I want to see it, and could he? 100% absolutely. The heavyweight division is a one punch can change that fight in a split second, and Usyk has that type of charisma and ability, and like they said, he wants to go on the road and fight everybody. And for that same reason, too, I mean, Tyson Fury's got to be up there. If he would have got that decision over Deontay Wilder, even though I did think he won, and a lot of us on the show thought he won, he technically didn't win that fight, so that's the only reason I didn't give it to Tyson Fury, because the same token, Tyson Fury goes anywhere to fight anybody. He'll fight him in their hometown, he'll fight him wherever, and he goes on the road a lot, Tyson Fury does, and I think that's impressive. I think there's a lot to be said about a fighter that will go on the road in somebody else's backyard and fight them. So I had a couple that were up there, about a top three, it was Canelo, Tyson Fury, and definitely Usyk, but I'm picking Canelo. Just because of the reasons I think he beat one of the best out there, pound for pound, which is Triple G, and I actually thought he did win that fight. So I'm going with Canelo as my fighter of the year.
Okay, and before we wrap up this segment, Travis, how healthy is the sport right now?
I think this sport is as healthy as it's ever been, 100%. And I say that because look at all of this money getting invested, like DAZN, $3 billion, ESPN Plus, the premier boxing champions. And you know what? I think we all need to honestly sit back and give credit to Al Heyman and this PBC series, because Al Heyman, he got these people to invest, I think it was like $500 million, and that's when boxing, everybody was like, boxing was dead. And it wasn't ever dead, but boxing was at a very, very low point. We were seeing some really crappy fights. We had no big-time superstars, and Al Heyman brought investors to invest $500 million. It was Waddell and Reed, by the way, and Waddell and Reed is a company out of Kansas, by the way, that came up with that $500 million. But I got to give a lot of credit to Al Heyman that he laid the groundwork and definitely helped improve the scope and the popularity of boxing. And then guys like DAZN and Eddie Hearn and Anthony Joshua and ESPN Plus now has come in and just, these guys are smart businessmen. Nobody, and I mean nobody's going to throw $3 billion into a sport that is just popular for a second. They believe in it, and they've seen the numbers and the demographics and all of that stuff that shows that boxing is, I think it's been on the steady incline for a long time, and I think it's only going to get better again because we have so many superstars now. We don't just have one superstar. We have so many superstars that are in the making and that are already there. I mean, you have Canelo, you have Anthony Joshua, you have Deontay Wilder, now you have Tyson Fury. I mean, there's so many people that you can look at and say that I want to see them fight. And since we have so many stars now, we're not having one massive fight a year. We're having multiple massive fights a year, more than that even. And DAZN is guaranteeing us, I think it's 100 fights that we're going to see just on the DAZN app alone. That's not even to mention the PBC series, the ESPN Plus series. I mean, I'm excited talking about it. I mean, if you could see my eyes right now, I'm lit up talking about the possibilities and the popularity of boxing right now. So I think we're all in a good place, and I think the Ringside Boxing Show has 100% helped boxing continue to grow because we promote the sport positively, and I love it.
and don't forget the World Boxing Super Series, guys. You know, Jay and those guys. Oh my God, what a wonderful thing that's been for the sport.
Yep.
So, hey, it's been a fantastic year for the Ringside Boxing Show too. You know, our audience grew incrementally, and you guys did a dynamite job. I think we're getting better and better. It's all exciting for me too. So next week, guys, I want to talk about all the weird stuff that happened in boxing, like we did last year. With Travis Hartman, Rizwan Zahid, and John J. Responte, our expert analyst. I got a feeling Adrian Broner's name's going to come up. I got a feeling Mayweather's name's going to come up. It was quite a year for strange stuff. So you guys have a happy New Year. Great job today. Thanks, and we will talk to you next Sunday.
All right. Happy New Year, guys.
Good, guys.
Yeah.
All right, fellas. Our British correspondent, Paul McLaughlin, is up next to talk about the amazing year of boxing in the United Kingdom. And then John J. Responte and I are going to treat you to what was probably the best interview we've done all year in a great year of interviews. Buddy McGirt, a member of the class of 2019 for the International Boxing Hall of Fame, is a few minutes away on the Ringside Boxing Show, so do not go away.
Hi, I'm Dennis Taylor, host of the Ringside Boxing Show, where since 2008 we have been continuously sponsored by Garcia Boxing, the first family of the Sweet Science on California's beautiful Central Coast. Trainers Max and Sam Garcia and ring strategist Dean Hamilton are regarded among the most knowledgeable in the game. And Kathy Garcia, who manages all Garcia boxing fighters, is renowned for her integrity and career guidance, having taken 2 boxers to #1 world rankings. Together they comprise one of the most respected teams in the sport. Learn more by calling 831-261-3214 or send them an email at garciaboxing25@aol.com.
Oh boy, is this great!
You're listening to the Ringside Boxing Show, the hottest, sweatiest show on West Coast Radio.
Come on, get out of here.
Hi guys, it's the last one for me for 2018, so we look back at a fantastic year for British boxing. Well, February saw a much anticipated World Super Series semi-final between George Groves and Chris Eubank Jr. With many saying Eubank would win with ease, they were wrong, and Groves dominated the fight and taught Eubank a boxing lesson. Now, former world champion Nassim Hamed didn't hold back in his review of Eubank's performance.
I don't know why his father's talking about him in such high regard all the time, putting all that pressure on the kid all the time throughout his life. He's going to do this, going to do that. The fact is, you know, he's not good enough. And this is it. He's not at this level, and he's not such a good fighter that he's making out he is. He ain't going to win unbelievable things. Let's just talk reality. Let's bring it down to where it really is. In the next 3 years, he still won't be a world beater. He's not got the ability. You know the ability. That's it. You're either good at boxing or you're not. I know this sounds terrible. I think he should finish.
In a rather dull bout, Anthony Joshua claimed another belt by beating Joseph Parker on unanimous points. In April, we saw the return to the ring of Amir Khan, who took literally about 51 seconds to blow Phil LaGreco out of the ring. May, we saw a rematch between David Haye and Tony Bellew, where Bellew put on the performance of his career to knock Haye out in the 5th round. And in June, it was Tyson Fury's return to the ring after a long time away from it, and he had an easy match when Safari withdrew after just 4 rounds. July saw a cracking night of boxing when Derek Chisora knocked out Carlos Takam in an amazing fight, and Dillian Whyte outpointed Joseph Parker in one of the best fights of the year. A truly cracking night of boxing that was. September was the month that AJ stopped Alexander Povetkin to continue his dominant run with the heavyweights. And then came my favourite time of the year. Do you remember this, Dennis?
I hate to say I told you so, Dennis, but I did. Callum Smith knocked out George Groves in the 7th round to become the WBA Super Middleweight World Champion and win the World Boxing Super Series final, as predicted by me at the start of the actual tournament.
I said for a while ago, I knew I was good enough to do it. I knew I was the better man, and I just needed a chance to show it, and people forgot about me over the past 2 years and let me off, and I showed tonight, and I'm not the fight that people have seen the last 2 years. I'm a lot better.
Now, in November, we had a colossal fight between Tony Bellew and Alexander Usyk. Bellew said this before the fight.
And let's not forget, I have the one thing that he doesn't have, and that's a punch that can switch lights off within the blink of an eye.
And then this happened. Yeah, a tough way to end his career, but Bellew did retire shortly after this bout. December saw another rematch between Derek Chisora and Dillian Whyte, which ended ferociously with a huge knockout by Whyte. And now Whyte hopes to get his chance at a title in 2019.
I just keep fighting and keep doing my thing. I don't get caught up in all of this, but, you know, if you look at my string of opponent, my last 5-6 opponent, and I was for the world title. Look at Joshua's 6th opponent before he fought for the world title. Look at James Wallace's opponent for the world title. Look at Tyson Fury's opponent. The guys I fought and the guys they fought, it's the difference between night and day. You know, Joshua fought me, they fought for the world title. Wilder fought a guy named Jason Gavin. Fury fought Christian Hammer. You know that. They can only avoid me for so long. It's only a matter of time. I just want to stay active, stay busy, and that's what I've been doing.
Josh Warrington also outpointed Carl Frampton for a fantastic night of boxing. Absolutely brilliant, both ends, and a thoroughly enjoyable bout. And then Mr. Fury had the most amazing fight against Deontay Wilder. Many think he outpointed Wilder after rising from a huge knockdown in the final round. Fury took the draw very well and showed us his vocal talents.
Touch me deep inside the day. Sing along. The music died. All together now. So bye, Mr. American Pie. Go my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry. And good old boys were drinking whiskey and wine. Come on, Freddie! This'll be the day that I die. Come on! This'll be the day that I die.
So, a brilliant year gone and another one to come. Keep your eyes on my man Callum Smith as he will dominate the super middleweight, and the heavyweights will settle some scores and hopefully be joined by Alexander Usyk along the way. That's your lot from me for this year, guys. I will be back in 2019. Gloves up, protect yourselves at all times, and most of all, have a fantastic new year, guys. Back to the studio.
How special is Tyson Fury to the sport of boxing? Oh my God! You know, it's no wonder you guys gave us Monty Python and Peter Sellers and all those guys, Paul McLaughlin. Hey, Paul, so happy you became part of the Ringside Boxing Show in 2018. You are an absolutely fantastic addition to an already great cast on this show. And thanks for all you do. That was an outstanding year-ender report. One more quick break to brag about our book, and then you're going to find out a whole bunch of stuff that you didn't know about the life and times of two-division world champion and trainer of the year Buddy McGirt, a 2019 inductee into the International Boxing Hall of Fame. Fasten your seatbelts. We spoke to Buddy yesterday, and it turned out to be what I think is our best interview of 2018. So stay with us. We'll be right back with Buddy.
I'm Dennis Taylor, co-author of the Amazon bestseller Intimate Warfare, the true story of the Arturo Gatti and Mickey Ward boxing trilogy. You know, writing this book was a labor of love for John J. Responti and myself. We enjoyed every minute of the process and considered it a privilege to tell the tale of one of the most electrifying boxing trilogies in the history of this sport. Intimate Warfare traces the collision course of Arturo Gatti and Mickey Ward from their earliest days through their 3 epic fights, as well as the aftermath of this great rivalry, which culminated in one of the greatest friendships in boxing. Intimate Warfare has received a 4.5-star rating from readers and was endorsed by Hall of Famers Harold Letterman and Joe Cortez and 2-time Trainer of the Year Virgil Hunter. Our foreword was written by Ray Boom Boom Mancini, another one of the greatest blood and guts fighters of our time. Get your copy today at Amazon.com.
We're 20 seconds on down the fight, and this belt will be the first of the... Oh, my goodness! Relaford down on his back. And McGirt, that was a tremendous shot. Came out of nowhere with it. And a left and a right, and McGirt trying to finish him off, and that is it. Luis Rivera stops the fight just a few seconds shy of the end, and Relaford staggering to his corner, having to be held up by his cornermen and the doctor.
Welcome back to the Ringside Boxing Show on the Grueling Truth Sports Network. I'm Dennis Taylor with John J. Responti, and today's featured guest was a 2-division world champion who became one of the top trainers in boxing. James Buddy McGirt had a record of 73-6 with 1 draw, 48 knockouts in a career that spanned from 1982 to 1997 and included fights with Pernell Whitaker, Simon Brown, Meldrick Taylor, Howard Davis Jr., Vince Relaford, who we just heard the clip from, Saoul Mamby, Frankie Warren, Livingstone Bramble, among many others. As a trainer, he worked with Arturo Gatti, Antonio Tarver, Vernon Forrest, Layla Ali, Layman Brewster, Tomas Adamek, Paulie Malignaggi, his son James Buddy McGirt Jr., and most recently Sergey Kovalev, who he is preparing right now for the February 2 rematch with Eleider Alvarez. Buddy was named Trainer of the Year by the Boxing Writers of America in 2002, and he's a member of the New Jersey Boxing Hall of Fame. That happened to him in 1998, and this coming June, he's going to be inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame at Canastota, New York. Buddy, welcome back to the Ringside Boxing Show. Good to talk to you again. Thanks for finding some time for us today. How are you?
I can't complain. You know, just, like I say, getting Kovalev ready, so I can't complain other than not getting ready for the new year.
Yeah. All right, beautiful. Well, hey, before we get into some of those things that I just mentioned, I wanted to give you a chance to talk for a minute about your former trainer and manager, Al Certo, who is one of those old-school New Jersey boxing legends. He died the day after Christmas this year at age 90. What kind of guy was Al, and what will you remember about him as a trainer and a manager?
Al was one of a kind. When they made him, they broke the mold. That's all I can say, man. And he was Al. I mean, that's the only way you can put it. He was Al. I mean, I could tell you so many stories about him, but one thing I will say that he always fought for the fighter, right or wrong, better or indifferent. He always fought for the fighter to get more money. You know, a lot of people didn't like him for that, but that was him. You know what I mean? And he'd fight to the end. He didn't care. You know what I mean? If you didn't like him, if you try to disown him or whatever the case may be, he always fought for that extra just for the fighter. You know, and he always told it like it was. He didn't keep any secrets.
Yeah, he was one of those Damon Runyon kind of characters. He had a career straight out of the movies and a life straight out of the movies. And I read on the internet that supposedly he was delivered in 1928 by a midwife, Dolly Sinatra, who was the mother of Frank Sinatra. And he grew up idolizing Gene Kelly and Fred Astaire. This guy wanted to be a dancer, not a fighter, right?
Yeah. Huh?
How about that? Wow. Here's something else. I read that he flipped off Sammy the Bull Gravano at the 1993 Senate hearing when Gravano accused him of having organized crime ties. Man, that takes some cojones.
You know, I mean, it was all bull. And, you know, I mean, it had nothing to do with Al. Nothing at all. And, you know, and it's just, you know, Al had that mouth, man. So, you know, they're so kidding. Let's point the finger at him. And then he got mad when they was talking. And he was like, how can a man sit here and say that he killed all these people and you're giving him rights over us?
Yep.
You know what I mean? So he got pissed off, and, you know, he has this thing when he's talking, and if he starts touching his glasses, that means he's getting ready to go off. That means he's getting ready to lose it.
Interesting. Yeah, we read, Buddy, that you made your pro debut on a Tuesday night in 1982, and you fought a guy named Lamont Halfcoach to a 4-round draw. Halfcoach was trained and managed by Al Certo, who signed you to a contract 2 days later. Is that a true story?
Yes, it is. And what really happened was my other manager, Stewie, was watching Dom Amoroso that night, who was training Al's fighters. And he goes, that old man, all of his fighters won tonight except the one you fought. He goes, that's why I want to train you. So we came to Jersey. They had a gym in Hoboken on Washington Street. And we came there, and we met Dominic. And then Dominic says, well, if you want me to train the kid, he's got to come here. I said, but I live in Long Island. Dominic said, well, there's trains that come from Long Island to Jersey. And I had to make that trek every day.
I see.
From Brentwood to Jersey, it was a 2.5 to 3 hour trip.
Wow, really? Oh, my God.
Every day.
Every day. Gosh.
Monday to Saturday. The first year I did it, I was a senior in high school.
Oh,
6 hours. So 3 hours there and 3 hours back?
Yep, that's if the trains ran on time.
Yeah. Wow. Gosh, give you a lot of time to think, huh, when you're sitting there on the train for 3 hours there and 3 hours back.
Here's how my trip used to go. I'd take the Long Island Railroad to Penn Station. But back then, the Long Island Railroad from Brentwood didn't go directly into Penn Station. You had to change at Jamaica. Or Hicksville. You had to change at Jamaica or Hicksville for the train to Manhattan. You get to Penn Station, have to get out and walk down 33rd Street to the PATH train. Go downstairs, take the PATH train to Hoboken, get off, walk about a mile to the gym. Then we moved to Jersey City, so I had to take the PATH to General Square and walk about 1.5 miles to the Panos gym. Rain, sleet, or snow, 100 degrees outside, and then I'd train, and then I'd walk back to the train station, and same procedure back.
Wow. Jeez.
Man, you must have wanted it bad. You must have wanted it real bad. Yep.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the funny thing is, if you missed one train back then, you had to wait like maybe an hour. Like today, they have the trains running back to back because they have, electric trains now that goes straight from Penn Station to Brentwood. But back then, if you missed one of the connecting trains, you was in trouble, Jack.
Yeah, I believe it. Wow. When you look back on your own career, Buddy, as a fighter, how much impact did, we're talking about Al Certo have? What was he great at, and what did you learn from him?
Well, one thing I learned is, he's always spoke his mind. He didn't bite his tongue. And I learned sometimes you got to hold stuff in because sometimes he would bite his tongue a little. Sometimes he would say a little too much that would put me on the shelf for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
But he also taught me to let people know you're not no idiot. He exposed a lot in the game, and I was sitting there and learning from him because I'm always watching and listening to people. But I've learned so much from being around him that if he was a manager today, he wouldn't last because he's not going to play the game. He would put everybody on blast today. If he would call a press conference and put everybody on blast.
Wow. So, being without all those years, if anything, do you see any of yourself in him as a trainer sometimes? Do you do a lot of things with your fighters, or some things, or a few things that Al did, or are you completely different?
You know, back then, we used to spar every day.
Uh-huh.
But one thing I learned from Al, don't take no shit from no fighter.
Yeah.
Don't care who they are. You show them the door. If they start, when they act like they know more than you, then you don't need them and they don't fucking need you.
Yeah.
So his thing was, you know, if you came to the gym bitching and complaining, he'd say, then what the hell are you coming for?
Sure. Exactly.
And so, I mean, he does, you know, he always had a locker at the gym. He told me, keep all your shit in the locker. This way you can't come in and say you forgot your mouthpiece or your cup. Then when you walk in the gym, if you was without Certo and you walk in the gym, you better have some tough skin. Because he'll curse you in a minute, he'll tell you off in a minute, and he'll tell you to get the hell out of the gym. But it was a lot of fun, though. I got to tell you, we had a lot of fun. A lot of fun. He was a character.
That must have been a culture shock for you as an 18-year-old, though, to run into a guy like him.
You know, it's funny, when I ran into him, he was smoking cigarettes like a chimney. And 2 weeks later, he quit. When I met him, he was in his tailor shop cursing his head. I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? They said, he's a promoter. I'm like, he's down here cutting fabric. They said, no, he owns the shop, and he's a promoter. And he goes, hey, kid, what are you calling everybody, kid? Hey, kid, what are you doing? I mean, but his favorite word was, you know, we're on the radio, I can't say his favorite words, but he'll call you a drink in a minute.
Yeah.
Huh?
It starts with CS, though, doesn't it?
That's it. Oh, that or jerk off. Hey, you jerk off.
Okay.
Him and Joey Giardello would go at it, man. It was
boy.
It was me, him, Joey Giardello, and Willie Pep once in the parking lot, and he got Willie Pep so mad, and Willie wanted to kill us all.
Wow, really?
Willie Pep. Wow. What a legend.
I mean, I've met, you know, I've had dinner with Jersey Joe Wolcott. I mean, one thing, you know, I had the pleasure of meeting all these, you know, fighters, you know, Charlie Fusari, before Ray Robinson, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There was so many fighters I used to see at this tailor shop, Jake LaMotta. I mean, but I became really good friends with Jersey Joe Wolcott.
Wow.
I used to pick his brain every chance I got.
Man, what a fighter he was.
Last week we had Tony DeMarco on this show, and it was just a huge thrill for both John and I. You know, we're both older guys. We're both in our 60s, so, you know, to talk to somebody like that, you know, man, that's incredible that you got to meet all those guys, that you got to be friends with those guys. Yeah.
Gosh.
So the honor you're going to receive in June, buddy, is a recognition of your career as a fighter. You were a 2-division world champ. You won 73 fights. What was your reaction when you got the news that you've been voted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame? Man, that's the top of the mountain.
I cried.
Did you?
Yeah.
That's something.
Because my favorite person, my mom, you know, just passed me a couple years ago. And that's something she used to always ask me, well, boy, when they going to induct in that damn Hall of Fame? She'd always ask me that. You know? But, you know, she's looking down on me now, you know what I mean?
Yes. She knows.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Well, you know, your only loss in the first 6 years of your career came against Frankie Warren in '86. And this is a little 5'3" guy who was 20-0 at the time. And then 2 years later, you stopped him in the 12th round. I just watched part of that fight on the internet, and man, you really closed his eye in that one. But that's when you won the IBF Super Lightweight Championship. What kind of moment was that for you to become a champion?
Honestly, man, I was on a high. I mean, for maybe a month. You don't realize you're on a high.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a dream. But at the same time, my body was so beat up, man. My body was beat up bad. bad. I mean, it took me 2 months to even want to go out on a date.
Wow.
Man, my body was beat up. I mean, I still have nightmares about that guy.
Really? Wow.
I mean, but I was just like, when I got home, you know, my adrenaline was flowing. But when I finally got some sleep, you know, I went to this function that was having for me. And I was sitting on the podium, I was sleeping. My body said, buddy, this is it. And then I was driving home and I was at a red light. And I fell asleep at the red light. I was like, I'm like, you know what, bud? It'll go out for a while. And, you know, but it was just the greatest feeling in the world. You know, I became world champion. I was Al's first world champion. I was Hector Roca's first world champion. And I was the first world champion from Long Island.
Yeah.
So, wow. I mean, so to me, it was like I conquered the world on plus.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of naysayers out there. And there was one guy I'll never forget, but I'll never mention his name, but I'll always tell the story. He came to my house one day and asked me for an autograph. I signed the autograph. And he says to me, do you really think you're going to be the first world champion from Long Island? I said, yeah. And he turned around as he was jogging to his car. I'll never forget. He said, it'll never happen.
Oh, man.
I said, this mamma jamma just asked me for my autograph. Now he's telling me I'm not going to win the championship. But, you know, every time I see him now, he cannot look me in the face.
Gosh.
I mean, he can't. And then one day we was at some fights, and they wouldn't let him in. He looked at me. They said, you know this guy, buddy? I said, yeah, I know him. And they let him in. But I'll never forget it. You know, every time he looks at me, he cannot look me in the eye.
Gosh. Can't be man enough and tell you that he was wrong, huh? I mean, that would be nice. Boy. Okay, back to that guy who was giving you nightmares for a minute, Frankie Warren. What a tough little guy he was. Now, you lost the first fight to him, but then you stopped him in the 12th round a couple years later. What was the difference in the two fights? Had you improved that much since then, or what was it?
It's funny. After that fight, I would say the arena was maybe a mile from the from the hotel. And after the first fight, I said, you know, I'm going to walk back to the hotel. And I said, I don't want nobody. I want to walk by myself. I don't want nobody to go with me. And when I got back to the hotel, it sunk in, and Al was waiting for me. He goes, what do you want? What are you going to do? I said, I'm going to go upstairs and rest. I said, but I need you to give me a fight. He goes, what? I said, I can't live with this. I said, I learned a lesson, and I'm going to put it behind me, and I'm going to take the lesson that I learned and make myself a better fighter, but you got to give me a fight right away. And that fight was in July, and I fought in September. I fought Saoul Mamby.
Tough guy.
You know what I mean? He was like, are you sure, kid? I'm like, Al, I said, give me a fight. He goes, it's not going to be easy. I said, I don't care. And there was Saoul Mamby, and people were like, yo, are you crazy? You fighting a former world champion after your first loss? I'm like, no, I'll be all right.
Jeez.
So that fight taught me a lot. And, you know, I believe that's there's always that one fight that makes you or break you. And I think that's the one that made me. You know what I mean?
What do you think you learned from? I'm always fascinated by that, buddy. When I'll say to a fighter, you lost, but what did you learn? What did you learn from that fight? That the fight you lost to?
I learned that I couldn't, because I was knocking everybody out at the time. And when I had him, he didn't go nowhere. He hit me back 4 times. I hit him once. He hit me 4. I hit him twice. He hit me 8. But then around the 7th round of the fight, I woke up. It was like, I can outbox this guy. And I started outboxing him. And even though he won the fight, his eyes were swollen still. So I said, if I can do that shit in 3 rounds, and what I said, if I go in and try to box him in the rematch, I can get him out of there. But in the rematch, I said, Al, I'm going right to him early. He's like, what? I'm like, I got to get his respect out. And I felt like Lou Duvin made the ring. It felt like I was in a phone booth. And then I'll never forget in the 7th round, he hit me with a left hook. And I had a root canal done a couple months before the fight. He knocked the filling out of my mouth. Wow. I went back to the corner and spit the filling out. But it was a great moment. It was a great moment.
Yeah, and after the beating Warren in the rematch, you fought Howard Davis Jr., the Olympic gold medalist, who a lot of people said at the time had the fastest hands in boxing, and you knocked him out in the first round. I would think you were expecting a tougher fight from Howard Davis, right?
I'm going to be, God bless him, he's passed away now. God bless Howard. But I'm going to be honest with you. I boxed Howard Davis in 1981. I was one partner for him. He was paying $500 a week. I used to drive from Brentwood to Hempstead, and my car was I only paid $100 for. So right there, the money I was making was worth more than the car was driving. And I held my own against him. I was 17 years old, and I held my own. So I said to myself, buddy, now that you're a more mature and you're a champion, if you jump on him early, and I jumped on him early, and I believe in my heart he could have gotten up. But it was about 110 degrees outside. It was hot. July 31st, it was hot as heck outside. And between the TV cameras and all that, I guess he said, you know what, 15, 14 more rounds of this ain't worth it.
Wow. What's the story of the Meldrick Taylor fight? You lost to him in the 12th round, and close fight in Atlantic City. But I mean, that was 40 days after Howard Davis.
That's my point exactly. I should never took in the fight. But when I got the ear infection, when we was training, I got the ear infection, and I said, you know what? I pulled out once against the guy because of my bicep. I said, I can't pull out again. I've just always believed that a champion should put it on the line no matter what. And I was like, kid, are you serious? I'm like, come on, baby, I'll be all right. But after the 2nd round, I couldn't take anything else until I don't remember anything until Al stopped the fight. And I said to Al, I said, there's only like 30 seconds left. He goes, well, he's getting ready to open up. I said, shit, he had 10 rounds to open up on me. What are you talking about? He couldn't open up no more than he already did.
Well, you beat Simon Brown in 1991 to win the WBC welterweight belt. Was that title as sweet as the first one, or was it even better the second time?
It was better the second time because I got to enjoy more. Yeah. I got to enjoy more, and the victory over Simon Brown, I was a 10-1 underdog. And when I got to Las Vegas, when we got to Las Vegas, you got to remember, they was making this fight like this fight was going back and forth. And they said to me, well, you fighting Don King's fighter, you're fighting this, you're doing this. I'm like, listen, just give me the title fight. So then they offered me, here's the funny part. They offered me Glenwood Brown for $200,000. And they offered me Simon Brown for $800,000. They said, which fight do you want? I said, do you really got to ask me this?
Really?
Yeah. And so they said, okay, buddy, well, you got to fight him in Vegas. I said, I don't care. I said, I'll fight him at his house. Don King can be the referee.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And then, so they were like, okay. So now we go and we fight. And when we got there, we was there, I would say like 12 days before the fight, I got strep throat. So they says, you got to rest at least 3 days. You can't do nothing. So I'm like, so I'm in the hotel, and I was like, look, you cocksucker, you better not try to go running. Because Al knew how it was. He knew me. He knew that I'm like, wait, I'll rest a day, but 3 days? No, it's not happening. So he came to my room the next day, like at 5 in the morning, to make sure I didn't get up to go running. And then he took my running sneakers. But he forgot to take my sweat stuff. So the next day I went in the bathroom, turned the shower on steam, and I shadow boxed in the shower for 2 days. I shadow box, take a shower, come back and lay down. So when he knocked on the door, I'm like, I'm in bed, I'm not doing nothing. But if he would open the bathroom door, he could see nothing but steam and Abilene. Because I was always conscious of my weight, especially the last week or two. And then, fight night, I just knew that night, no one's going to beat me. Not tonight. Maybe tomorrow, or maybe next week, but not tonight. And then when I came out and got in the ring, I saw Lou Rawls standing there who sang the national anthem. Yep. And my mother loved Lou Rawls. So when I saw Lou Rawls, I looked at my mother. She just smiled at me. I said to myself, Simon Brown's in trouble tonight.
Good sign, yeah, really.
Yeah, man. I said, it was just like everything, the scenario, you couldn't make it up. It was just like, I'm like, nah, it's on. He ain't gonna win tonight. I don't give a damn what he tries to do. I don't care who. The judges could be Don King kid. I'm kicking his butt tonight. You know what I mean? And that was just like that. That was like, that perfect night. For me, throughout my whole career, that was the perfect night.
How were you feeling? Were you 100% physically, or was it just so much determination?
I was in such a calm zone. I was in the zone that I knew that no matter what he did, I was going to have an answer to it. I said to myself, because I knew that Simon Brown, he liked to pick the pace up after 5 rounds. So I said, if he goes up to number 2, I'm going to number 4. If he goes to 6, I'm going to 8. I'm going to turn it up just as much as he turns it up. And I said, and this will break his will. Because when he used to fight guys after 4 or 5 rounds, first 4 rounds he goes to the body on guys, breaks them down. So I gave him what he gave other guys. Every time I got close, I hit up to the body. I'm like, you don't like that too much, huh? Because most guys that like to throw body punches don't like body punches.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Most guys they fight are trying to hit them in the head or cover their body. I'm like, nah. I'm going to go to your body just as much as you go to mine. And let's see who ties up first. But I knew that night, I knew nobody in the world was going to beat me that night. I could have fought Mike Tyson that night.
Wow.
That was that one night that when I put on my boxing shoes, I said to myself, I will F up the world tonight. I just knew it. I was just like, it was a perfect night.
I guess.
You only lost 6 out of 80 fights, incredible record, and 2 of those were against Pernell Whitaker, who's obviously an all-time great, who was considered at the time the #1 pound-for-pound fighter by a lot of people. This is a rhetorical question, but do you consider him the best you ever faced, Buddy?
I'm not going to say, I'm going to put this down. I'm going to give you an answer. We'll see if you can understand it.
Sure.
He had enormous talent. I'll give him that. The first fight was close. First fight was close. I had the perfect plan, but I didn't have a left hook. That's when my rotator cuff was messed up. So I would say it was the best in that aspect, but the best and the smartest fight I fought was Saoul Mamby. Can you understand?
Oh, yeah.
Like, Pernell had, he had, I mean, listen, Pernell had one of the greatest trainers in the world, if not the greatest trainer in the world in his corner, Georgie Benton. Now, if you look at my record, let me see, I can tell you right now, 1, 2, 4 of my losses are to fighters trained by Georgie Benton.
Wow, really? No kidding.
Oh, yeah. So, Pernell had that, but he also had Georgie, who was a genius. Matter of fact, if you look up Georgie, he called Pernell his masterpiece. And he said to me, buddy, you almost ruined my masterpiece. You know what I mean? But one of the smartest was Saoul Mamby, man. He was just so tricky. I mean, like I'm going to give you an example. I hit him in the 8th round with a right hand, and I saw his legs wobble. So I said to myself, I'm going to be the first one to knock this man out. And I went in for the kill. Now, Saoul Mamby's not known for being a puncher.
Right.
But he hit me in the liver. Then I wet myself. I'm not even going to lie to you.
Wow.
And we got in a clinch, and that's exactly what he said to me. Slow your young ass down.
Really? No kidding.
Wow. Let me know that you're going to get the win, but you're not going to get it the way you want it.
Yeah.
But that liver shot, oh my God! Man, listen, I wet myself when he hit me in the liver.
Man, that is something.
That is a paralyzing punch, right? I mean, obviously Dennis and I never felt anything like that. It just takes everything out of you, right?
Yes, most people who get able to deliver shot, they take a knee. I mean, you got to take a knee off a shot like that. But my adrenaline was flowing, but when he hit me, I didn't take a knee, but I took a leap.
This is the Ringside Boxing Show from Monterey, California. I'm Dennis Taylor with John J. Responte. We're talking to International Boxing Hall of Famer, Class of 2019, Buddy McGirt. Buddy, you fought a long time, 82 to 97, 70 fights. How come? Was it just a love for the sport?
I love the sport, and and I loved it. What I loved about it the most was getting in the ring, outsmarting another person. Not necessarily knocking them out, but outsmarting them. That's why in my first fight with Pernell, I gave him so many fits. Because my goal was to outsmart him. And God knows if I had my shoulder, my left hook, I'd have beat him that night. I'd have been the first man to beat him decisively in his prime. Because when he lost to the other guys, he was past his prime.
Yeah.
But in his prime, I'd have been the first one. But it wasn't meant to be. I mean, it is. But in the rematch, I fought it. To be honest, in the rematch, I didn't care. After the first fight, the doctor called me, and asked me to come. Another doctor, Ross Greenberg from HBO, called me, but I got a doctor I want you to go see. So I took the old MRIs that I had to the doctor in New York. I said, Doc, the doctors I had in New Jersey said that these MRIs were no good. He put the MRI up. He goes, these MRIs are perfect. He goes, you have a torn rotator cuff. It's obvious.
Mm-hmm.
So they did the surgery, and the doctor says, you might not be able to fight again. I'm like, what? He goes, I'm telling you right now, it's going to take you at least a year before you can fight again. If you recoup well, but I don't see it happen. So I think, Doc. So I fought 6 months later. And then I was outside. I fought, my first fight was in October. And then I fought in January. Then I fought, October, January, April, May, June, June, August, and October. In 1 year. I did all that in 1 year.
That's old school. Wow.
I'm going to name the guys I fought for. I fought my first fight back was against Nick Rupert. Then I fought Jesse James Hughes. That was in January. Then I fought Livingston Bramble. Then I fought Kevin Pompey, Pat Coleman, and then Pernell Whitaker. But now, after the Pat Coleman fight, the 5th fight of the year, they said to me, you got the Pernell Whitaker rematch. I started crying in the dressing room. My wife said, what's wrong? You should be excited. I said, I don't want to fight no more. She's like, what? I says, they told me I couldn't do it. I did it. But now, I felt I accomplished something. I said, I don't want to do it anymore. I mean, I just told her that. I didn't tell nobody. I just told her. I said, let's talk when we get home. So we got home. I said, look, but you got the rematch. I said, babe, my main goal was to get back to fight him. But once I got there, after they said I couldn't do it, the flame just went out. So from that point on, I just fought because I had to. Not because I wanted to. So from that until the day I retired, I fought because I had to fight, not because I wanted to fight.
So was you to walk away after that? When you retired?
I was the hardest thing in life I ever had to do. It's like this. I'm going to tell you, when I retired, I was there in Colorado Springs getting ready for a fight. They had a fight with me in Canada with a kid named Sean O'Sullivan. I'm in Colorado Springs doing my road work around the lake down the street from the Olympic Training Center. I did the one lap and stopped. And my friend said, what's wrong? I said, I'm going home. Like, what do you mean? I said, I'm going home. So that's it. He goes, come on, man, stop bullshitting. I said, excuse my language. I said, I'm telling you, I'm going home. I said, now you go with me, or you stay here in Colorado. He's like, man, you're not going to turn down that money. You'll be back. I said, I'm telling you now. I was packing my bags. So I'm telling you now. As a matter of fact, you know what? I didn't even pack no bags. I left everything in Colorado Springs. I left with the clothes on my back. I said, are you coming or you not? He said, I ain't coming. I booked the ticket, called my wife, said, I'm coming home. She said, what's wrong? I said, that's it. She's like, what? I said, that's it. And I got on the plane, and my friend took me to the airport. He goes, I'll be waiting when you get back in a couple of days. I said, okay, I'm telling you. I'm out of here. I'm not coming back. And that was the longest plane ride of my life. Because now I'm flying home. I'm saying to myself, what am I going to do with the rest of my life? What am I going to do? Get a job, sit behind a desk? I says, what are you going to do, buddy? You got a family you got to take care of. I mean, I'm flying on the plane like, you know. I said, like, whatever money you got put away, that's not going to last you forever. So you got to do something. What are you going to do? So I got home, and I said, look, I told my wife, I'll figure it out. She says, take as much time as you need. She goes, I'll work 2 jobs until you figure it out. But as a man, I said, I can't let my wife do that. You know, I said, I can't let her do that. So I just, you know, I was trying, like, one guy had a company, like, buddy, you could come work here, and I'm sitting behind a desk, I'm looking around, I'm saying, this ain't for me. I mean, this is not for me, man. I can't. And the other guy said, look, buddy, I put your name outside this towel store. You can sell towels, and we can make them. I'm like, you just told me 10 different towels. I forgot every damn thing you said. I said, I can't do this. This ain't for me. All right? I said, this is how for me. So I started training. And, it wasn't easy at first. It was a big, big adjustment training. Big. I mean, from being a champion and to come back to train people, it's like, wow, this is no joke.
So there was kind of a learning curve there as far as becoming the trainer from the great fighter that you were. You had to learn on the job, as they say.
Yeah, you know what? You have to learn about people. See, when most guys that were ex-champions and they become a trainer, they expect the fighter to pick it up overnight. We still have to forget one thing. We was once that student. We didn't pick it up overnight. But, some things like, oh, buddy, man, this guy now. So now, I'm like, hey, man, listen, man, remember, we was once him.
Yeah.
I said, someone took the time with you, you got to take the time with them. I mean, it took me a few months to get it. I mean, and then I realized I can't make everybody fight the way I fought. I got to see what they have, what they can and can't do, take it from there, and go from there. So it wasn't easy making an adjustment. It was, it was hardness because I love the job. You know what I mean? I love what I do, and I just, it would be easy for me to put a towel on my shoulder and go in the gym and just yell. I said no, but I I've always wanted to be a trainer. Always. I think that's what helped me, because I started boxing on my birthday, January 17th, 1976. I started boxing. On January 18th, I wanted to be a trainer. I always wanted to teach people. I always thought it would be cool to teach people how to outthink another person. I mean, and I've always been like that. Chess, I could never get into chess. Could never get into chess. But checkers, my father used to kick my butt. And then when I got to where I was kicking his butt, he didn't want to play me anymore. Because it was a thinking game. Chess is a thinking game. But by the time, they wanted to teach me chess, I was boxing. And by boxing, I'm like, look, man, I don't have time to sit down here and no, I want to box. And boxing was my life as a 12-year-old. Boxing was everything to me. I would walk a mile to this one store that sold boxing magazines just to read the magazine because I didn't have enough money to buy it. I'll read the magazine, put it back on the shelf, and walk out. Then if I did have money, then I'll buy it. And then one day the man was just like, listen, man, just come in and get the magazine. There's an Indian guy, just take it, man. Wow. Yeah, then I used to go to the public library in my neighborhood. And I got a book that was called The Heavyweight Champions. So I took the book home and I was reading it. And I took it back. And then I went back 2 weeks later, took it out again. Then I started ripping pictures out of it, hanging up on the wall in my bedroom. And I take the book back, wait a week, go back. The library wouldn't say nothing. It was for like about, say, 2 months. The third month when I went back, I couldn't find the book. So I came up to the front, and she goes, here. She handed me the book. I said, don't you see my library card? She said, do me a favor, James. I said, sure. She goes, take the book home and keep it. I'm like, why? She says, because you're ripping the pages out of it. It's obvious that you love boxing. She goes, you're the only one that takes out this book. She said, so just keep it. Go home, keep it. I'm like, are you sure? She says, have a good day, James. And I went home, man. Wow.
What a great story.
I took all the pictures out of the book and hung up in my bedroom. And
did you have a favorite fighter when you were doing that when you were ripping the pages? Or was there one that you just really, really liked?
You know what? Back in the 70s, everybody loved Muhammad Ali.
Right.
I tried to fight like him as an amateur. It didn't work. I said, well, this shit ain't gonna happen. I can't fight like this, man. I can't do it. So what I decided to do was read a little bit about every other fighter and try to take a little piece from this one, that one, bits and pieces. Take them, put them together, and say, okay, but let's see what we can do with this. And then every weekend, see a CBS Sports Spectacular, NBC Sports World, ABC Wide World of Sports. I would sit in front of that TV all day to wait for a fight to come on. Because you remember, Wide World of Sports, there was a boxing match sometime. You had to go through like 20 other sports before they got to the boxing match.
That's right. It was always the last thing. It was always the last thing they showed. That's right.
Curling. Yeah. That's a curling match before you get to the ball.
Yeah.
That's right.
But I would sit there all day. I wouldn't go anywhere. And my mom would tell everybody, don't bother me. Leave them alone. we only have one TV at the time. My mother said, just leave them alone. And I would sit there. All my friends could be outside playing. But I got to see you guys after the fight. And then, when I got about 13, my friend down the street, his father loved boxing. Mr. Charlie Moore, I'll never forget. So they said, what time? I said, I'll see you when you get back. So I was going on there, and my friend was like, yo, you come to see me or my father? I said, well, I come to see you, but I come to watch the fight with your father. And then Mr. Moore would sit there and watch the fights.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And, my mother was like, well, yes, I'm going to watch the fights with Mr. Moore. It's like, okay. And then they would watch the fights. And my friend Vincent, his son, I'd be outside playing, but I'd be outside with Mr. Moore watching the fight. I just loved it. Boxing was just, like, I had all these boxing magazines. A friend of mine, God bless him, he's passed away. His name is Kenny Woods. He gave me one time, like, books that right now are probably worth so much money from the 40s and 50s. He gave me, like, about, I would say, over a case of them. So I used to read them and fall asleep with them in the bed. My mother would get up at night to go to work and see me in bed with the magazine and sleep. And she'd cut the light off, take the magazine, and bam, leave me there. So it's always been my life, you know what I mean? It's always been my love, my passion, you know what I mean? And you know what I mean? But I try to tell these young kids today, man, that, it takes a lot of hard work, man. It's not easy.
Yes.
It looks easy, but it's a lot of hard work. And if you're not a gold medal winner, like, I don't win no gold medal. I started at the bottom of the bottom. My first fight, I got $200 in a Suzy Q. When I got those $200, I thought I was rich. I was in high school. I said, I just made $200. But there was only one problem. My girlfriend was pregnant. My mother said, you take that money and you go get yourself some Pampers and formula. I'm like, I said, but the baby ain't here yet. My mother said, the baby be here soon enough. Then my second pro fight, I got $675. It was a week before my prom. So I went and got I took a $50 bill and got 50 singles. I stuck it in the middle of the hundreds and walked around like I was Big Willie. I pulled them in my pocket at the prom. Everybody was like, wow, buddy, man. I'm like, hey, what you guys need? But in the back of my mind, I'm like, you better not buy nothing because you got Pampers and formula you got to buy. You know what I mean? When I went to me a nice tuxedo, some shoes, I lived good for that week.
Yeah, really.
Let me ask you what you remember about two really special fighters that you trained, both who died way too young. I'm sure you know I'm talking about Arturo Gatti and Vernon Forrest. What pops into your mind when I mention those two names?
Arturo Gatti always pulling pranks. He was a prankster. He was a big kid.
Yeah.
He'd pull a prank on you in a minute, And Vernon Forrest loved to play spades. He could play. You go to Vernon's house to play spades, bring your lunch or your dinner because you're going to be there all day after night. And if he's losing, he's not letting you leave.
Yeah, figures.
What a great guy. I will say, a great guy, Vernon. You know, he, one time he wanted to train for his last fight that he had, as a matter of fact. He wanted to stay home and train because he always came to Vero Beach. So I said, I'll train you in Atlanta, no problem, man, you know. So he said, just for this one fight, buddy. I said, okay, no problem. So we get there, and he had just bought the new Jaguars that just came out. I'll never forget.
Mm-hmm.
And he gave me the keys to his Range Rover. So he says, buddy, you can use my Range Rover. I said, Vernon. He goes, yeah. I said, have you seen the inside of my cars at home? He says, yeah. I said, you sure you want to give me this Range Rover? He said, you know what, you're right. I'll take you to rent the car.
Oh, my God.
He goes, you know what, buddy, you're right. He used to call me Gizzard McGirt. That's what he used to call me. And he said, you know what? He goes, you know what? You're right. I'll take you to rent a car tomorrow. And he took me to rent a car.
Gosh.
It's great.
Too funny. Okay, right now you're currently training Sergey Kovalev for his rematch with Alvarez. Sergey has developed a reputation, you know, that we've read about it for being a bit difficult. How's training? I'm just curious. How's training camp going so far?
To be honest with you, thank God it's going good. You have to be a people's person to deal with fighters.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You need a degree. I mean, I think every trainer who's been successful with fighters that are different, way different than most fighters, should get a degree. In psychology, psychiatry, everything.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, fighters are, to me, the most moodiest people in the world.
Mm.
And the higher they are ranked, the more moody they can be.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to sometimes, you know, if a fighter walks in the gym and he's got an attitude that day, he's mad at the world, says, I'm not going to do this today, I'm not going to. Yeah, okay, no problem. This is how I do it. I mean, I can't figure it out. I'm like, no problem. But we got to do something. They're like, okay, buddy. So now, when they're getting ready, you know, I'll let them start the conversations. And I say, okay, this is where his mind is at today. So you got to think of something stupid about this conversation to say to make him laugh.
Mm.
Once you make him laugh, you got his attention. So, man, I make them laugh. It may take me, you know, 15, 20 minutes, half hour, I make them laugh. First, they try not to laugh. I give it like a little smirk.
Mm-hmm.
Then the next time he says something else stupid, now they laugh. So now it's okay, now, buddy, you got to take this stupid statement and make like a half-ass stupid story out of it. That's going to be even funnier. I mean, I'll give them a story similar that happened to you that's funny to what they're talking about. Now they laugh more. Now I got them now. I got their attention. And then we go through the workout. And then they look at me and say, you know what? You got me. What are we talking about?
Cool.
Yeah, you got it, I'm telling you. But back to Sergey, he's not as bad as they say.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I've heard things, they're like, you know, listen, he's going to do this, he's going to do that. I'm like, okay, if you say so. I'm not saying you're right, I'm not saying you're wrong. You know what I mean? But then when we first started, you know, he would say something, I'd say, okay, explain to me why you would do that move. He was like, what? I said, explain to me why you would do it. You know what I mean? And he just looked at me like, he had an explanation. I said, but now I'm going to explain to you a move you should do. If you do it like this is what happens. And he was like, interesting. He said, all right, show me something else. I said, okay, I'm going to do this move, but tell me what you think you would do. No, you just got to get the interest.
Mm-hmm.
The fighters are very competitive.
Mm-hmm.
So if you get their interest on something that they like, and you show by your ways nothing right, I can do it better. And this is what I say to all of them. I say, if the fat old man can do it, I know damn well you can do it. They don't like that. They're like, what? I'm like I do a move on the bag. I said, if the fat man can do it, why can't you? Well, I can do it. I'm going to show them. And move, they do it. I mean, I'm telling you, fighters, I'm telling you, I've dealt with guys that will make him look like a choir boy. I mean, try dealing with a heavyweight who one day is laughing and joking, and the next day wakes up and comes to your room at 4 in the morning, said, tomorrow, I'll want me and you in the gym, nobody else, and we're not going to play no rap music, nothing with cursing. I said, why not? He goes, because the people that are cursing are with the feds and they're trying to ruin me. I said, okay, no problem.
Okay.
Okay, so now, I got to deal with this for 4 weeks now.
Boy.
The only place he would eat, you ready for this, was Burger King, because he could see them make his food. He believed that the feds, this is not true, he believed that the feds were following him, spiking his food. We went to IHOP. Now, you know, if you ask for 2 scrambled eggs, they pull the eggs out of like a container. At IHOP. They don't get them. Like I said, they're busting no damn egg. Eggs came. He said, I ordered 2 eggs. The lady said, well, you got your scrambled eggs, sir. I said, let's go, buddy. I'm like, what? I said, what's wrong with the eggs? Well, that's more than 2 eggs. I said, okay. So they gave you 3 eggs. What's the big deal? They're bugged.
Oh, boy.
I'm like, I said, are you serious? He said, we're not eating here. We got up, I paid the bill, and walked out. So he went to Burger King, and he saw them make his breakfast. So this is what we're going to eat every day. We ate there, breakfast. We ate breakfast there. And then when we had dinner, we would go to the Chinese restaurant where they cooked out, and he could see them cook his food. 4 weeks that they were this.
4 weeks.
So he didn't want no rap music. And he goes, buddy, if anybody around us curse, says any curse word, you got to get rid of them because they with the feds.
Okay.
So now, imagine dealing with, now he's 240-pound heavyweight. I mean, at the time, my ass was like, I was about 170. I mean, he's sleeping in the room next to me. I mean, and I'm like, okay, no problem, man. He said, tell my manager I want my own car. You're going to rent the car, and only you're going to drive me in the car. I want nobody else in the car with me. I said, but what about the assistant? He's fired. I'm telling you, the man was definitely, he was, I don't know, I can't even, I love him, but he was definitely out there. You know what I mean? And then, I mean, it's funny because on say like Monday, he was hanging out laughing, playing cards, laughing, cursing, joking. He woke up Tuesday, he knocked on my door 4 in the morning, bam, totally different person.
Wow. Jekyll and Hyde.
I mean, but after his fight, you know what I mean, after his fight, bam, he went back to the old person again. Now, I'm going to tell you, this is a crazy story. We get on a plane to go to Memphis, right? So, of course, Memphis is the home of Elvis Presley, the King. That's where they shot Martin Luther King. And the promoter at the time was Don King. So this is what the fighter says to me. He goes, buddy, you don't think the feds are following us? Now, we're on the walkway to get on the plane. I said, no, man, they ain't following us. Why? He said, think about it. We're going to the home of the king, where they shot the king, and the Grammy-ass promoter is the king. I said, oh, my God. Now we get on the plane. We get on the plane, and he has a Walkman on. And the stewardess is like, he has to turn off his Walkman. I said, miss, I'll take care of it. Don't worry. But please don't bother this man right now because he would tear this freaking. This is before 9/11. I see he would tear this plane apart. You She said, okay. I said, I'll handle them. So what I did was, when they give you, when they talk on the airline before you take off, I kept nudging them to start a conversation. She's like, your brother, I'm trying to listen to my music. I said, man, look, you got 4 hours to listen to your music. I said, I want to talk to you about something. And he cut the Walkman off. Then once we took off, I changed the conversation. I said, go ahead, listen to your music.
Boy.
And we put his music on. And then he fell asleep. Then the stewardess came with the phone with landing. She goes, is that off? I said, yeah, let's his bed off. He sleeps. That's how he sleeps. But his music was still playing. But so to deal with guys like that, to Sergey Kovalev is nothing.
Yeah.
That's nothing.
Yeah. Wow, you are a psychologist trainer. That's true. You really have to work. You have to think faster on your feet.
Yeah, you got to think fast on your.
Yes, you do. Kovalev was ahead on 3 scorecards when he got stopped, knocked down in the 7th round of that first fight with Alvarez. What's your focus in training camp, buddy? I mean, how can you make a 35-year-old fighter? I mean, you like challenges, so here you go. How can you make a 35-year-old fighter better and come out with a better outcome for him this time around?
Well, I didn't see the fight. But he tells me what happened. So I take his word for it, because a man's not going to lie, especially if he got beat. And I tell him I didn't see the fight. He could have made up any excuse. He just told me the truth, what happened with him in training. And I said, okay. So what do you want to do? He says, I want to get better. And I said, okay. I said, how do you want to do it? He goes, I need you to show me and tell me. I said, you got it.
Interesting. Yeah. Now, this is also an interesting topic for anybody who follows boxing or any kind of sport, really, but boxing more than anything. Fighters often have a difficult time rebounding psychologically from a knockout loss. How does a trainer, you talk about how you have to think so fast and make them laugh and do this, how can a trainer help put that in the past where it really isn't something that they're thinking about? I mean, you got to have a clean slate when you fight again, right? I mean, how do you help? How does the trainer help?
You ask him, what do you feel went wrong? And they'll tell you the most intimate secrets. So, okay. Then it makes you understand what you got to work on with them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If they trust you, they're going to tell you stuff they won't tell nobody else. You know what I mean? Because I let them all know, you got to trust me. Because if you don't trust me, what am I here for? And they're like, all right, buddy. I'm like, are you going to listen? They're like, yeah. I said, now, I know a lot of trainers tell you stuff. I'm not only going to tell you, I'm going to show you. This way you can see that there's no BS. So it's not, I don't want you to do it the same way I do it. The key is to get the same results. If we get the same results, we have the game. And they say, okay, all right, buddy, okay. And bam, we'll right from there, and no problem. He's a very nice guy, or people say, oh, he's this, he's that. To me, he's a nice, great guy. You know what I mean? He doesn't, you know what I mean? If he sees something, or if he feels something ain't comfortable, he speaks his mind. So it's a good thing.
Hey, man, this has been an amazing conversation with you, and we want to thank you for that. I got one more for you. You trained your son, James McGirt Jr., who had a great career, 27-3, 1 draw, 14 KOs. How different was that for you, training your own flesh and blood?
Man, let me tell you, we used to argue like a mamma jamma, man.
Really?
Because he wants to tell me what should be done. I'm like, how you going to tell me, son? I mean, you're going to tell me how you should train. I'm like, listen, as a kid, I never let him box. I never let him box as a kid. He couldn't even put on a boxing glove. Because because he has so much talent in other sports.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, why would I let him waste it on boxing? And when he went to college to play basketball, he said, okay, my dad is not here. I can do what I want. So I'm not going to go to class. I'm going to go find a boxing gym.
Mm.
And when he called me, I was in Las Vegas. And he said, Dad, I'm in the Sunshine State Games in Florida. You know, I'm like, wow, your basketball team made it? He's like, no. I'm like, okay, you play baseball? He's like, no. So he's not playing basketball. I'm not playing baseball. I know they don't have football. I'm like, so what the hell are you doing? So I'm boxing. I'm like, you what? He goes, I'm boxing. I'm like, well, what about college? I dropped out. Well, I wanted to knock him out, but he knew I was in Vegas for like 6 weeks. So, and then he won the tournament, but I was still like, you gotta go, but you should go back to college. But you know, they don't want to listen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, interesting.
But thank you guys for the interview and your time. I really appreciate it.
Oh, man, thanks for yours. We enjoyed your boxing career immensely. You know, I know I'm speaking for John, too. And congrats again on being chosen for the International Boxing Hall of Fame. And thanks for making so much time for us today on the Ringside Boxing Show. Always a pleasure, my friend. Thank you, buddy.
Take care.
The great Buddy McGirt on the Ringside Boxing Show. Hey, do you like the Ringside Boxing Show? Do us a solid. Tell your boxing friends. Spread the word about us on your social media and help us grow. Also, if you haven't yet discovered the #1 website in the world for daily boxing news, what the hell are you waiting for? We update RingsideBoxingShow.com 365 days a year with the hottest stories and the biggest headlines every single day. And if you're a fight fan, this should be your very first stop every morning, and it might be the only website that you need to visit all day long. Discover us right now, and you will be amazed. RingsideBoxingShow.com. Thanks, as always, to our expert analysts, Travis Hartman, Rizwan Zahid, my partner here, John J. Responti, our outstanding British correspondent, Paul McLaughlin, and another huge thanks today to James Buddy McGirt, 2-time world champion, former trainer of the year, who will become an International Boxing Hall of Famer in June. Finally, thanks to you, Ringside Nation, for being a part of our worldwide audience again today. Keep your chin tucked. We will talk to you again next week on the Ringside Boxing Show.
It's a great day for me to whoop somebody's ass. It's a bad day, so you better get off of my back, 'cause you might get cold cocked if you cross my path.